Have you ever wondered what it really takes to face the unexpected and survive? Today, we're diving into the story of a man named Edward, whose quiet, ordinary life was turned upside down in a single, unforgettable morning. What happened next was a test of courage, determination, and the human spirit, and it's a story you won't forget. Stay with us, because this is a journey of survival, bravery, and the power of one person to make a difference. In 1998, in a small, quiet town up north in the United States, there lived a man named Edward. His life was calm, orderly, and predictable. Every morning, he would wake before dawn, brew a strong cup of black coffee, and walk the familiar path to the local carpentry shop where he had worked for years. His hands were rough from years of shaping wood into chairs, tables, and cabinets, yet he took pride in every piece he crafted. Evenings were for slow walks along the narrow streets, lined with maple trees that, every fall, turned bright red and gold. Then he would return to his small apartment, where the smell of old wood and the creak of familiar floorboards felt comforting, almost like an old friend. Edward liked his life the way it was, peaceful, simple, predictable. He loved the quiet, the routine, and most of all, the river that ran through the town. Early every morning, he would go down to the riverbank, watching the mist rise from the water, listening to the gentle babble as the current moved over stones and around fallen branches. These moments were his refuge. They reminded him that the world, even in its chaos, had pockets of calm, places where one could breathe and feel at peace. But one cold, gray morning, everything changed. Edward noticed immediately that the river was different. The water was churning violently, darker than usual, moving faster than he had ever seen. A tight knot formed in his stomach. Overnight, heavy rains upstream had swelled the river into a wild, unstoppable force. Neighbors were already awake, shouting, running, panicked. The water was swallowing streets, creeping toward houses, threatening everything in its path. Children cried for their parents. Pets barked and yowled from rooftops and trees. Some townspeople froze, unable to decide what to do, while others ran aimlessly, trying to save whatever they could. Edward felt fear grip him, but beneath that fear, a spark of determination ignited. Someone had to act, and he realized it had to be him. He started immediately, moving door to door, urging neighbors to evacuate. Some understood the danger at once and followed him without hesitation. Others hesitated, frozen by fear, unsure of how to move through the icy water or what path to take. Edward guided them carefully, steadying the elderly as they stepped into the freezing current, rescuing pets stranded on rooftops, and carrying frightened children who clung to him, shivering and wide-eyed. Each step mattered. One slip, one mistake, could be fatal. At one point, a young family became trapped near the steep riverbank. The father tried to hold his little son, but the boy was too scared, too small to keep his balance. Edward rushed forward without hesitation. He scooped the boy into his arms and struggled along the slick stones, his hands and arms numb from the icy water. His own body trembled, but he refused to falter. "I've got you," he whispered to the child, though he could barely hear himself over the roar of the river. Behind him, the mother clung to the edge of the bank, her face pale and drawn with fear. Edward shouted simple instructions, telling her exactly where to step and when to lean, guiding her and the boy inch by inch to safety. Step after step, the family reached solid ground, dripping, shivering, exhausted, but alive. Edward paused, chest heaving, feeling the icy wind whip past his face. Relief washed over him, but there was no time to linger. Just when it seemed the worst had passed, a massive wave crashed against the bridge they were supposed to use. Part of it was destroyed instantly, leaving the group stranded in the middle of the road, surrounded by raging water. Panic rose like a tide around them. A few screamed, some wept, others clung desperately to ropes and each other. Edward's mind raced. He had to find a solution, fast. He grabbed the remaining ropes, fashioning an improvised crossing, and began guiding people across one by one. His hands were numb, muscles screaming, but he kept his focus razor-sharp. He spoke calmly, giving instructions and encouragement. "Step slowly. Hold on tight. You're safe now." Step by step, child by child, adult by adult, Edward led them to safety. The current was relentless, but he remained a steadfast anchor amid the chaos. Minutes passed that felt like hours. The river roared around them, debris floated past, yet one by one, everyone reached the opposite shore. Wet, exhausted, trembling, but alive. Edward stood there, chest heaving, staring at the water. Now it seemed almost calm, a deceptive serenity hiding the chaos that had raged moments before. A profound relief coursed through him, mixed with disbelief. They had survived. After that day, Edward's life changed forever. The townspeople remembered him not just for his courage, but for his clarity under pressure, his ability to act when everyone else was paralyzed by fear. He had saved more than 10 lives with his quick thinking and bravery. And he realized something important. True courage isn't always about grand gestures or heroics. It's in the small, decisive actions we take for others when no one else will. He also learned that life can throw sudden, terrifying challenges at anyone. And yet, the human spirit can rise to meet those challenges in ways we often don't imagine. Even in moments of despair, there is a choice, a chance to act, to help, to protect. And sometimes, that choice changes everything. Edward's story reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting despite fear, moving forward when the world seems ready to pull you under, and holding on, not just to your own life, but to the lives of those around you. Even in the most desperate situations, the decision to act, to care, and to protect can create miracles. And as Edward walked home that evening, exhausted but alive, he understood something profound. Bravery is not about fame or recognition. It's about showing up, doing what must be done, and never underestimating the power of a single person willing to act when it matters most. If this story touched you in any way, consider subscribing to the channel. We share many more inspiring stories just like this one, and your subscription helps us bring them to even more people. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourself and those around you.